Hi there, my name is Ian Humphreys, CEO and co-founder of Brickflow, and here are my top 5 tips for property developers to manage risk in a volatile environment. When economic uncertainty sets in, projects become even more challenging for property developers. However, for many of us in the sector, stopping and doing nothing is not really an option. The most important skill in property development at all times is to manage risk, and this becomes even more prevalent when in times of volatility. In any environment, by managing the risks you can control, this should reduce the impact of the things that you can't control. As an example, if you'd employed a contractor with a weak balance sheet prior to COVID, then there would be a higher chance of that contractor going under when lockdowns reduce payment frequency on contracts. Similarly, by not purchasing certain materials that could be paid for in advance when material costs are lower, would have also had an adverse impact on your profits. These are examples of variables you can control. The current market conditions are something you can't control, but if you have managed risk accordingly elsewhere, then the impact of these macroeconomic events could be reduced. As someone remarked to me last week, their current policy is proceed, but with caution. Quite. Number 1, cash is king. In any downturn, it's important to have cash available as a property developer that is predominantly reliant on property sales for income. When sales slow down, that is a problem. However, having cash available to take advantage of any reduced pricing of land in the next year or so is key. Arguably, the biggest cost for any property developer is opportunity cost, and there will be huge opportunities that will arise out of this downturn, so make sure you have cash available. There will be plenty of developers and investors raising money against residential properties, commercial properties and land right now to make sure they have money available for when land prices fall. Number 2, phasing. You have a site with planning and you were ready to go and had everything mapped out ahead of you. And then the government's mini budget caused interest rates to spike and all of your plans are now in disarray. If you don't start, the economic conditions will worsen and it could be 2 to 3 years before the property comparables and lending environment are better than where they are today. And on top of that, you don't want to sit on your hands for 2 to 3 years. Can your site be phased? Deliver a smaller number of units first and see how the market reacts. If values are down on where you need them to be, then pause before starting phase 2. If values are above where you expected, then deliver phase 2 quicker. Phasing will normally increase your build and funding costs though, so make sure you crunch the numbers to see that it's worth it. Fixing interest rates. The number of fixed rates available in the development finance space has fallen dramatically since interest rates started to rise a few months ago. Brickflow has 40 lenders on the platform, and before the recent rises, around 20 would have offered some kind of fixed rate. That number is now less than 10 and falling every week. Some lenders have priced up their fixed interest rates, so whilst they are fixed, the rate starts at 2% or more higher than the corresponding variable rate. So is it worth it? Only you can make that decision. Where do you think interest rates are going? If they go higher than forecast and or stay higher for longer, what will that do to your project and its profits? Every developer should be stress testing the impact of increased borrowing costs on their project at land acquisition stage. Forward sales. Most sites will have an allocation to a housing association. Is there an opportunity to sell more units to the housing association? Could a build to rent operator be interested? Can you make any off-plan sales? Forward sales normally involve an exchange contract before construction starts and some money being paid over at that time, which is the so-called golden brick payment. Development lenders love an element of forward sales and will potentially lend at higher leverage against those units that you have sold, bringing up the overall leverage against the site and a smaller deposit for you. Before doing any deal though, make sure you're dealing with reputable buyers. The lender will look at the covenant strength of that buyer. How long have they been around? Are they financially sound? They'll make that assessment before deciding to lend. Number 5, renegotiate your existing transactions. The current economic situation is no secret. Sellers are acutely aware of what the media is forecasting, so use that to your advantage. Explain to the seller that if the end values are now lower, this translates to a lower buy price now. And you can do this by showing them a residual land calculation. One way of negotiating a better price could be to offer an overage. For those that don't know, an overage is a contractual obligation to pay a seller more for a site if you achieve a greater value. As an example, I'll agree to buy from you a site for £1 million because I believe that the GDV of the site is 5 million, and that leaves me with a 20% developer profit after all costs. You want more than 1 million because you believe the GDV is greater than 5 million. Therefore, me as the buyer could offer to split 50-50 any profits above 5 million. If the market is strong, then you get more money. If the market is weak, I've protected myself. Anyway, that's it from me today. These are my top 5 tips for de-risking a property development in a volatile environment. Bye for now.